Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. For today's video, I'm going to be doing a perfume note I hate. And the note that we're going to be talking about today is Lychee. If you are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Amy. I do videos on all things girly. If you like that type of content, don't forget to subscribe before you leave today's video. And if you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. I'm so happy to have you here with me today, and I appreciate you so much. With that said, let's get right into today's video. Alright guys, so today I'm going to be doing my second video in the series that I have going on where I talk about a note that I hate. And I did title it A Note I Hate, but obviously I don't hate it like that. It's just a note that gives me a little bit of trouble. It could be notes that give me headaches or notes that just don't mix well with my skin, but I somehow have fragrances in my collection with that note. So the purpose of this video is to share the note that I don't like, because maybe a note that I don't like is a note that you don't like either. And then that can kind of let you know my preferences in fragrances. And if you don't like something and I don't like it either, then maybe you would end up liking these fragrances even though they have that note that we don't like. So I hope that makes sense, because it's so hard for me to kind of like explain it. But I do want to get into the fragrances that have lychee in them. Lychee is one of the most polarizing notes to me. I either have a fragrance that has it and I'm okay with it, and then there's some fragrances that I just cannot do it because of that lychee. So I do have here some notes that I took down, and I am going to look up the note. All right, so when I go to Fragrantica and I look up lychee, it is described as a tropical sweet fragrance, fruity and aquatic. I'm sorry, where? Honestly, that's maybe the reason why so many people love lychee and it works for them. But my nose picks up something totally different with lychee. Lychee can give this tart. It is juicy, I will give it that, but I don't get tropical from it. I get like sour. There's a difference to me from having a fragrance that smells a little tart, so it just gives it like a little kick, but when it turns sour, I cannot do it. And for the most part, lychee will end up turning sour on me. So I do have a few fragrances here in my collection that have lychee in the notes, and honestly, I had no idea. I did know about one of them, but the other ones, like, I kind of forgot that they had lychee in them, and I really enjoy these. So there's only one in here that I'm thinking about decluttering because I'm having like a love-hate relationship with it. So here is the little basket that I have with the fragrances inside. And I'm going to talk about the fragrances in my collection that have the note of lychee, and then after I'm done with that, I'm going to let you guys know a few fragrances that I have tried that have lychee in them, and that was the reason why I either decluttered them or I didn't like them, all of that. So let's get right into it. The first fragrance in my collection that has the lychee note in it is Kayali's Eden Juicy Apple. So here is the bottle for this one. And the main accords for this fragrance are fruity, sweet, woody, and vanilla. And the notes are red apple, black currant, lychee, pink grapefruit. Middle notes are wild berries, raspberry bloom, jasmine, and May rose. And the base notes are sugar, musk, vanilla flower, moss, and amber. So luckily, I pick up a lot of the apple in this fragrance. Oh, I love this fragrance so much. The lychee that is inside of this fragrance, it adds that little bit of tartness, like I was telling you guys earlier, where it can add a little bit of tartness, but I do pick up the apple, which is super juicy in this fragrance. I pick up berries in the back, and the lychee is just giving like a juicy, a little bit of a tart vibe to the fragrance, but it doesn't turn it sour. It never just turns too sharp on my skin at all. And all of the notes work so beautiful in this fragrance. This is kind of like a gel type of fragrance. Like, it makes me think of the LA Looks gel that I used to wear when I was in middle school. It's just very refreshing, very super juicy. It's flirty. It's perfect for, I would say, spring and summer. A lot of people do enjoy wearing it in fall as well. So I'm going to give that a try because of that beautiful apple in here. And it's just a very easy to reach fragrance, crowd pleaser fragrance. I feel like a lot of people would love this. It's so nice and it lasts a good amount of time on my skin. So yeah, I have nothing bad to say about this fragrance. So this is the first fragrance in my collection with the note of lychee in it, and I recommend it 100%. So if you're a person who does not enjoy lychee, don't be afraid of that, and you can give this one a try because it's not super loud in here, at least to my nose. The next fragrance that has lychee in it is Chloe Eau de Parfum. And I have a little, I think this is like half an ounce. And I just love this bottle, so cute. This used to be a signature scent for me back in like 2016, around there, when I was working before I left with my husband. And this I used to wear almost every day. I went through like 2 bottles of it. And everyone used to compliment me on this fragrance. I feel like this fragrance is just very polished. It smells classy to me. It smells very put together. This is like the perfect fragrance for someone that doesn't want to give off like too much sex appeal or anything like that. You just want to smell classy and pretty. The main accords for this fragrance are floral, rose, fresh, and fruity. And the top notes are peony, lychee, and freesia. Middle notes are rose, lily of the valley, and magnolia. And the base notes are Virginia cedar and amber. So I'm going to give this one a spray. Never ever have I gotten a sour vibe from Chloe at all. If anything, it's more of like a powdery fragrance to me. Oh, so good. It smells so delicate. And again, in here, I barely even get any lychee in this fragrance. The opening is lychee and peony, so I feel like, oh, and freesia. So I definitely get those florals more than the lychee. So I am thinking that the lychee here is just adding like that juicy, fresh vibe to this fragrance. This is like a fragrance that makes me think of like a lady, like the girl next door. She's wearing like a button up, maybe like a silk blouse. I don't reach for this one as much as I used to back then. So I do want to give this one some use. Maybe I could put it in my tray for next month. I'm not sure. Such a beautiful, beautiful fragrance. So that is Chloe Eau de Parfum. And I know in the main accords, this one doesn't list powdery, but for some reason it makes me think of like a powdery fragrance. All right, guys, so this next fragrance is the one that I'm kind of going back and forth with. I don't know what to do with it. I think I'm probably going to end up decluttering it, maybe giving it away to someone in my family. I reviewed this fragrance and I did like it when I got it. I thought that it was going to work for me because I did not like the EDP version. It did not work for me. So I got the EDT version thinking that it was going to be better for me, and it is much, much better than the EDP version. And this is by Mugler, and this is Angel Nova EDT. And as you can see, there is like no dent in this fragrance at all. I feel like I just struggle with this fragrance so much. Like I'm like forcing myself to like it. And when I start to feel that way with a fragrance, I know that it's time to let it go. The opening to me is so beautiful. And even though I do pick up, out of all of these fragrances, this is the one with like the highest lychee so far. The other ones, it's like I get more of like the juiciness of a lychee, but here it's like sour to my skin. And that's where it starts getting problematic, because as soon as I spray this on and I like start going on about my day, I have tried it a few times now. I did have it on my tray last month. I was trying to make up my mind about it. It just starts to get very, very sour on me. And it's the same thing that happened with Very Good Girl from Carolina Herrera. I cannot really get, I really love like the overall idea of the fragrance. I love it so much, but then that one note makes me not love it. So I'm going to read the main accords of this fragrance. The main accords are rose, fruity, floral, tropical, citrus, woody, fresh, musky, powdery, and aquatic. The top notes are lychee and bergamot. Middle notes are rose and magnolia, and the base notes are Virginia cedar and musk. When I wear this fragrance, I feel like it just doesn't go with me. When it first was released, I was very excited. I wanted to love a star so bad. And when I smelled this one compared to the EDP, I would pick this one all day because the EDP dries down to like this woody. I do love woody fragrances, but that's like woody, kind of like patchouli type of vibe, and it was just not for me. So when the EDT came out, I was so excited about it. I wanted to love it. I love the color of the bottle. I love the notes in there, except for that lychee note, and it just doesn't work on my skin. It performs pretty good. It sticks around on my skin for a long time, and the night that I did test it out to see the longevity, it lasted all night long, and when I woke up, I can still smell it on my clothes. This is not a bad scent. I don't find it bad at all, and I still stand by my review that I gave on it. But I feel like now that I'm trying to get my collection to that size of a collection where every single fragrance is just like a love for me, like I want to feel the love for it. I don't want to like think twice about it. So when it comes to that, I feel like this one just doesn't have a place in my collection. So I am going to be decluttering this one, and I do get a ton of lychee in here. So if you do love lychee, look into the Angel Nova fragrance. The next fragrance that has lychee in it from my collection is from Jimmy Choo, and this is Jimmy Choo Fever. So here is the gorgeous bottle. I think the bottle is so beautiful, and it just makes me think of fall time. And the main accords for this fragrance are vanilla, sweet, fruity, amber, warm, spicy, powdery, woody, coffee, balsamic, and floral. So the top notes for this fragrance are plum, lychee, and grapefruit. Middle notes are heliotrope, vanilla orchid, jasmine, and orange blossom. And the base notes are tonka bean, vanilla, benzoin, coffee, hazelnut, and sandalwood. This fragrance right here, I also went back and forth with, but not because I didn't like the fragrance and not because I got lychee in it, because I don't think I do. I'm picking up a little bit more lychee today. It's because I'm looking for it. Yeah, so this fragrance, I think that I'm gonna spray my skin better. I went back and forth with this one because I was about to declutter it, but then I kind of loved it at the same time, so I couldn't make up my mind. So I ended up keeping it in my collection. But today I'm getting like a very masculine opening, which I have never got before with this fragrance. So I'm like super confused right now. I'm like super lost right now because I was like ready to give a review on it, and then now I'm getting like something totally different. This fragrance, I did get it, I believe it was like last summer. I actually do not remember exactly when I got it. I know I got it, I think it was last year. And I feel like this is just a really nice fragrance for fall time. But for some reason right now, I am just getting an opening that I'm not liking again. And that lychee in there, it's the lychee mix. First of all, that's another note that I need to do that I have a very, very hard time with, and that is plum. I noticed that a lot of fragrances, when they have plum in them, I do not like them. And in this fragrance, you have plum and lychee together in the opening. So I feel like that's just not my favorite. But the dry down notes are really, really beautiful. But I mean, for that, I can just go to one of my other fragrances that has those notes. So I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this one in my collection or not. So this one does give me like a little bit of trouble because sometimes I do like it. I remember I was going to declutter it, and then I ended up really loving it the day that I tried it on. So I guess I have to be like in the mood for this one. Yeah, it just smells a little sharp to my nose right now, and I don't remember it smelling that way. So maybe I know that lately my nose has been changing a lot, and I have been smelling things very differently. So this one is kind of like a maybe leaving my collection, but just wanted to let you know that the opening, you do get kind of like that tartness of the lychee, and if you do not like plum, then you're probably not going to like this. But the dry down is like a very sweet, gourmand type of dry down. There's a lot of vanilla. There's a lot of like coffee note and stuff, but I feel like this one might not be for me. So, and then this last fragrance that I'm going to be talking about is not a fragrance. It is a fragrance mist, and this is from Sol de Janeido, and this is Brazilian Crush Cheirosa 68. And this one is the Brazilian Jasmine and Pink Dragon Fruit Spray. So I have this one in my bathroom, and I need to start reaching for it more because I do remember loving it so much when I first got it. But I have so much stuff that sometimes I forget to use certain things. But this one I love. And this right here is beautiful. I really, really like this one. It's done right. And I'm going to read the main accords for this scent. And the main accords are tropical, fruity, floral, musky, white floral, vanilla, fresh, powdery, and marine. The top notes, you have pitahaya, which is dragon fruit, I believe, and lychee. So maybe that's why I don't get like just lychee. I actually don't really get lychee. Like, I don't think about lychee. If I was to spray this, I would definitely say that I smell a fruit, but I wouldn't be able to tell you like that it's lychee. It's good. It does have like this tartness to it, but it's very, very sweet. So if you can kind of like balance out that tartness from the lychee with sweetness or with creaminess or anything like that, then it's way more like easy for me to handle. But when lychee is the star of the show and it is like that sour tart type of note, that's when I can't handle it. This has like a beachy vibe in the background going on. There's a little bit of like a salty vibe, which actually, did it say something about salt? I don't even remember the notes. Okay, there's C notes in there. It's musky, yes. The hibiscus is a floral that's not too strong. Jasmine isn't too strong in here either. You just get this very pleasant, very similar fragrance to Cloud by Ariana Grande. Super girly, just super, super pretty. And the lychee doesn't bother me one bit with this one. And the body cream, I am pretty much done with this. There's like barely anything in there. Such a nice fragrance mist. So those are the fragrances that I have in my collection that have the note lychee in them. If I had to choose from the one that has the most lychee in it, it would definitely be Angel Nova EDT. That would be the first one with the one that I can definitely say, okay, that is lychee. It would be this one. Following up after that one, I would say would be Jimmy Choo's Fever. It's not the first thing that I would think of because the plum, I feel like it's very present in here as well. But the combination of those two, it's not my favorite. I'll say that. Then following that, I would say that Kayali's Eden Juicy Apple is probably my favorite interpretation of lychee. Like if I had to choose a lychee scent, it would probably be this one. Because there's tartness in here, but it's done so right. It's done so right. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't smell sour. It smells a little bit tart, but it's juicy. It's beautiful. So this is a good one. And then following that, I would go with the Brazilian Crush 68. I don't really feel too much lychee in here like that. It's done so beautifully. And then the last one would be Chloe, because I really don't get lychee in here. And I would never think that there was lychee in this fragrance. So those are the fragrances ranked from highest lychee to the least in my collection. I hope that that helped in any way. The fragrances that I do not have that also have lychee in them are Delina. I do not own Delina, and I have owned dupes of Delina. I did own the Juliana's Perfume dupe of Delina, and it is a beautiful fragrance. I do enjoy it. Like if I was to spray it on my skin and smell it, I would say it's a beautiful fragrance. It's done really, really nice. It's just not my type of fragrance. And for some reason, I have noticed that perfumers love to match lychee with rose. And it is a combo that seems to be very popular and a lot of people enjoy it. But rose is another note that I have to be careful with. So when you put two notes that I'm not really like the biggest fan of, then I feel like it's not something that I'm going to reach for all the time. So that's that one. The next one is Carolina Herrera's Very Good Girl. That is just a no in my book. Like, I do not want that fragrance in my collection. I gave it to my sister-in-law and she really did enjoy it. So there is a lot of people who actually do love that scent profile. And I just got like super, super sour. Like imagine like biting into like a strawberry or like a raspberry and it is just so sour. You know, that type of feeling. So Carolina Herrera's Very Good Girl is just not for me. Just super sour. It just was not pleasant for me. And then the next one is Angel Nova EDP, which I explained to you guys that it's just a way heavier woody version of the EDT version, and I got just as much lychee in the EDP version as well, so that one is not for me either. There is also Chloe Nomad, the EDT version. I have written down here, it has lychee in it. I had never owned the EDT version, but I did spray it at the store here on base, and when I sprayed that on my arm and I smelled it, I was just like, absolutely not, that's not for me. And at that moment, it's not because lychee jumped out at me because I didn't have the notes in front of me or anything, but it was just giving me a headache. It was very sharp, really loud. I just didn't enjoy that one. And then Britney Spears Fantasy also has lychee in it, and I haven't owned Fantasy in years, but now that I look back, I do remember Fantasy having like a little bit of like a tart note to it. I feel like back then it didn't bother me, and lately I've been wanting to order Fantasy again to give it a try, but I'm not sure because of that lychee in there. I might not enjoy it anymore. And then the last one that I'm gonna talk about is Giorgio Armani Sky di Gioia, which I also enjoyed, but there was always that lychee note that just kind of like bothered me a little bit. So I did wear, I would say I made a pretty nice dent on that bottle until I decluttered it, but it's definitely not like my favorite type of scent. I wouldn't say that it's like a top scent in my perfume collection. And yeah, all of those have lychee in them. So I hope that you guys found this video helpful. Comment down below if you enjoy the lychee note or if you don't like it at all. And also let me know what fragrances have lychee in them that you like, or the ones that have lychee in them and you do not like them. I want to hear anything that you guys want to share with me. Can't wait to talk to you guys. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and I will see you guys in my next video.